Alright guys, I think I am live then. It looks like it's working. I'm still not overly familiar with going out live, especially just yet. Alright, but yeah, things seem to be switched on. Alright guys, welcome back to the channel. If any of you are regular listeners, this one might seem a little bit repetitive because I am going to talk about a few things that I spoke about before, because the recording wasn't too good on the last live, and I actually do want to take some of the information that I was speaking about in the previous live and make standalone videos from that recording. However, the recording was that bad, I didn't realize at the time that it was also kind of jumpy, so I wasn't able to use any of that material. So I am going to talk about Norse Atlantic Airways again. And we're also going to talk about recently what's been going on with Thai visas, because I think it's kind of not as much so now. However, over the past couple of months, a lot of people were having a lot of problems getting into the country. And again, I've had time to think about it a bit more, and I kind of feel like I've collected my thoughts on some of the reasons why. And once again, I thought we'd go over that and maybe even go over like what I would do and ways that you can kind of take some assurances against being denied entry into the kingdom, perhaps, because I think that could be some useful information about that. So we'll be talking about visas, as we so often do on this channel. We'll talk about some recent news as well, perhaps, and then we'll end on kind of a light-hearted bit of news. That's a little bit funny because that's how I like to end these live streams. It's not all doom and gloom. But yeah, we'll start once again with the Norse Atlantic Airways. So it's an airline that I still can't quite believe. Basically, they seem to be opening up new flights between the UK and Thailand. Specifically, there's a direct flight from Bangkok to Manchester, which is the route I usually do. However, normally that's with a layover somewhere in between. So pretty interesting to me. Also, some of the prices that they did, I think that was more of like a shock. Well, not a shock, but more of like kind of marketing scheme. In December, which is when I think they started, they were offering flights as low as a couple of £100, which is absolutely crazy and unheard of for a long time. There were a lot of catches, so it's never going to be quite as good as it seems, but still seems to be potentially pretty good deals if you can make some of the sacrifices that you would be required. So yeah, let's have a look at that potentially. So let's just go over to the Norse Atlantic airline, because like I said, I sort of saw someone post about this company on TikTok, and they said that they were getting flights for like £200. But yeah, they offer a direct flight from Bangkok to Manchester. Again, something I've never seen before. And if you come over here on January, look, they're £310. That's one way, £288. The route between Manchester and Bangkok is only once a week, but the prices vary quite a lot. Like, see if we go over to February, so the flight on the 5th is 310. On the 12th, it's 209, and that's US dollars as well. Actually, can I change that to pounds? Just because that helps me. So yeah, so that's gone down to £231. Starting price. Obviously, there's a difference from 300 to around 200. Again, they seem very cheap. You don't seem to be able to book them too far in advance. I hope that's not a sign that they're going to stop running soon, because I was interested in seeing if I would be able to get a deal there. Now, what is the catch? Okay, how can you fly for £232 to Bangkok? Because I've just recently booked some flights to Laos. I've got to go to Laos in a couple of weeks, so hopefully I'll be able to get some content there. But it was about £200 to go to Laos. That was a return ticket, but it's definitely more than twice as far to fly to Manchester. So it is a little bit strange. But one of the reasons why is, so we'll go into the economy options. And you can see that very cheap price of £232 is economy light, and that only includes one personal item up to 4 kilograms, one carry-on bag, and that's about it. That's about all you get. You don't get any food on the flight. You don't get any checked in luggage, just your carry-on plus one personal item, together totaling 14 kilograms. Now, that is obviously not great, but if you could pack that light, if you were one of those people who travels extremely light, that's still an amazing deal. There's a few things that I wouldn't necessarily like. You can't choose your seat at that price, which this is going to be at least an 11-hour flight. Now, I would definitely want that aisle seat for an 11-hour flight. I definitely wouldn't want to be in the middle seat. But again, if the savings are worth it to you, then still an unbelievable deal, and something that I thought it seemed too good to be true for a long time. Prices around £200 flying to the UK to Thailand, one way obviously, but still, if you're getting a return ticket, recently the prices have been all the way up to £1,000 in for a return ticket, that is. So if you could get there around £300 and then back £300, you're still saving quite a lot, even compared to some of like the cheaper airlines. You can get pretty good deals with some of the Chinese airlines. Apparently that's because the Chinese airlines can fly through Russian airspace. I don't know if that's true, that's what I've heard. But a lot of the other airlines, seem to have been going up in price quite a bit. Economy Classic, so you've got a price increase from £232 to £276 here. That does include standard checked-in bag, which is 23 kilograms, and it includes one meal. General boarding. I think you still don't get to choose your seat though, because that's economy flextra, it's being called, which is a strange word, and that one is already up to £400. Now at that price, you're basically paying something similar to some of the bigger airlines like Etihad. So maybe not worth it. Maybe it is, because again, none of those services offer direct flights from Manchester to Bangkok. So if that's the route you want to take and you want to fly direct, then still potentially the way to go. But yeah, a much less good deal there. Let's see if we can change that to one of the London stations, London airports, not stations. Let's just do that. Can we just go? Show flights. But yeah, London, again, very cheap, man. Look, and there's a lot more flights going to London. Manchester route only has once per week. There seems to be at least 4 per week here. And if you wanted to fly on the 29th, so it's the 18th today, if you wanted to fly on the 29th, apparently the flight starts at less than £200, £194 one way. That's economy light though, with no checked-in luggage, no meals and no seat selection. But even if you add the checked-in luggage and you don't care about seat selection, £234 one way to London, that's an absolute bargain, isn't it? So yeah, very interesting stuff. That's to, which I'm not that familiar with, the London Airlines. That goes to London, is that Gatwick? That would make sense. Yeah, that's to Gatwick, which I think is the one a little bit further out. So I don't know if that would affect it. Probably would affect it for some people, but yeah, that's Norse airline. Norse, you can get their website at flynorse.com. I forget what the airline's actually called. I think it's Norse Atlantic. I've never heard of this airline. This definitely isn't a recommendation or anything like that, because I've never used them. Again, I would be very interested to hear if any of you have used them, because some of those deals looked almost too good to be true. Although when you consider you're not getting checked in luggage and you're not getting any meals or anything like that. But again, with the meals, you could probably buy food at the airport to carry it on with you, can't you? Once you've checked in, if you go to some of like the restaurants there or shops there, you could buy a few sandwiches maybe. Very interesting stuff. Definitely something that I would look into under certain circumstances. So yeah, cool. I like that there's more options, you know. That seems like a good thing to me. I just got asked in the chat, what's that in euros? I don't even know how much the pound to the euro is anymore. It's pretty similar, isn't it, these days? So probably just slightly less. But yeah, I'm actually too sure. Sorry, I've been I don't keep track. I barely keep track of the pound anymore. I've been in Thailand for 8 years now, so I'm not too sure. Sorry about that. But definitely, you can change on their website. Actually, I could go back and have a look. Let's do Bangkok to London. One way. If we go to euros at the top there. So yeah, they're starting at around 250 euros, 350 euros. Once again, that's without any of the things like checked in, like luggage or anything, which I'm sure most of us would need, but for some people you could probably get it done. No worries. Cool. So yeah, actually next I thought we could talk again about visas, and specifically about visa exemption. I'm sure if any of you are living in Thailand, or if any of you travel to Thailand a lot and you follow sort of the Thai foreign news, one of the things that has been dominating the Thai sort of foreigner news channels like the Tiger or the Bangkok Post and other things like that, and social media in general, if you're in sort of any of the sort of Thai Twitter or anything like that, which isn't an official thing, it's just you follow a few of the big accounts out here. You've probably seen a lot of talk about tourists being denied entry, who are trying to enter the country on visa exemption. This one was one of the biggest stories that I saw that kind of blew up. There was a British woman, I think she was, and she said tourist clarifies her story on flying into Don Mueang and being denied entry into Thailand. So she kind of made a TikTok video, I think, or an Instagram video that went really viral. She'd been denied entry into Thailand, and it was a little bit unclear what she was saying the reason was for. However, it was happening quite a lot of people. Now, a few things about this. I don't think any of the rules actually changed. So although it was kind of, well, there's a few things, right? So I don't think any of the rules for visa exemption changed. So there is actually set criteria, and visa exemption is offered to a whole bunch of countries. I think it's close to 100 different countries, which basically means you don't need a visa to enter Thailand. You can come here and you get let in with visa exemption. It used to be 30 days, now it's 60 days. However, there are talks about returning to 30 days. But basically, it's just to smooth out the process for tourists. Tourism is such a big or a massive part of the GDP and one of the main industries in Thailand. It was just to allow tourists in sort of quicker, and obviously like they want to encourage tourism, and visas can be tricky. So the visa exemption scheme's been around a while. Now, always there were sort of set criteria. You did have to have a minimum of 20,000 Thai baht. However, we'll talk about that as well, because some people are saying that it had to be in cash recently, which I'd not heard of before. But yeah, you always had to have proof of funds, which was, I think it was 20,000 baht per individual, which is about £500, around that ballpark. Or if you were traveling as a family, I think it was like 30,000 Thai baht, so closer to 1,000 per family. That's always been the case, and you also had to have proof of onward travel. You had to have a sort of return flight. And basically, most people never knew that, because unless you had been to the country multiple times, or unless you were perhaps acting suspiciously, or you were flagged at immigration, you never really were questioned too much. But if you were just turning up for your annually holiday, you'd not been in Thailand multiple times, they'd probably just let you through. But it could happen, and it happened to me. Because I was working as a teacher, I've been on a couple of different visa types, especially during the COVID time when my school shut down, and a few things, my flights back home got cancelled when I was going to go home to get changed onto a different visa. So when I tried to enter the country just before COVID and things were happening, a lot of things were happening, I did get sort of pulled aside, questioned. I had to show my proof of onward travel. I think I had to show the hotel that I was staying in. I didn't get asked to show proof of funds, however, at that time, but it does look like basically that's happening a lot more. So especially if you've been to the country once or twice before. I think the new sort of rules outline or say that you're only allowed to do visa exemption twice per calendar year. So yeah, in that video I sort of referenced before, I think the main problem was that they couldn't prove that they had that much money in an account, which is a little bit strange. But I have read online, some people say that you have to have that in cash. However, I've not been able to verify that, and I'm not sure if that is a rule. I think you can have a bank account balance and prove that you have at least that much, and that should be fine. But yeah, it did seem to change a lot. Now, a few of the reasons why that may have happened is that the government changed not too long ago. So I'd say like last year there was kind of a more left-leaning perhaps government. Now it's gone back to a more right-leaning, I'm struggling to speak. Sorry about that, guys. Needed a pause for a drink. So yeah, now potentially it's, although I'm not Thai and I don't understand the politics here fully, it does seem to be a little bit more of a right-leaning political party in power perhaps than before. So I think that they had previously relaxed some of the rules, and now a different government's in and they're tightening some of the rules. So those things do change, as they do in every country. Also, there was the military action between Thailand and Cambodia, which again is probably something that would make the government want to tighten up the screenings and procedures at immigration. Obviously, when you're in a conflict, that's probably a normal step to take. So I think there's a few things politically and internationally happening that perhaps made that a problem. Another problem was that, like I did mention before, the length of visa exemption had been extended from 30 days to 60 days. And I think more people were now using that as a viable option to potentially come to Thailand saying they were a tourist and getting work. So it did seem like a lot of people, or one of the sort of reasons given was that people were doing that more with this new extended visa exemption. I wouldn't be surprised if visa exemption returns to 30 days, just because most tourists only stay for like 2 weeks. So that's like one of the other reasons, like, why do we need to give 6 months for visa exemption? Which is an interesting fact and a little bit unclear on where that will go, I would say. So what I wanted to mention now is what I would do. So if you're just coming for a family holiday and you've not been in Thailand once per calendar year, so if you've not been in for a full year, you don't really need to do too much. I think you'd be absolutely fine under those circumstances. However, you do need to make sure that you have at least that 20,000 Thai baht in a bank account, or 30,000 baht per family. So you need to make sure you have that. I would also check on sort of visa forums, and I've got a good one that I'll share with you in a minute, about if people are being asked to show cash, because there have been people who've said that online, although people say a lot of things online. And I've not heard it enough or from the right type of people for me to really believe that just yet. However, people have been saying it, which is news to me. I thought you could just have it in a bank account and be able to prove that you had that much, you'd be fine. Second thing, you also definitely want to have your return travel or onward travel booked and be able to prove that. So they're the two main things that people seem to be getting asked for when they enter the kingdom. Proof of funds, like we said, and onward travel. So that could be a flight back home and a return flight ticket, or a flight to a different country. If you've got those things and you've not been in the country more than twice per calendar year, you're probably not going to have any problems. Sorry about that, guys. I've been a bit sick recently. But yeah, like I said, there are really good resources online when it comes to Thai visas. One of my favorites and one of the best is Thai Visa Advice Q&A Facebook group. If you do have any specific questions, I definitely drop the question in to this Facebook group. Lots of people do, as you can see. And I think one of the moderators is called Todd, is it? Let me just see if I can see him. Yeah, Todd, and he does a really good job. He seems really well informed. I think he's lived here a long time and had a lot of visa experience. So that is where I would go. And even if you don't want to ask the question yourself, you can sort of look through and see if anyone else has asked that question, because lots of people will probably have similar questions that you can that have probably been answered already. So that is a great resource if you do have any specific questions. And those are some of the things that I would do. Last week, I did have someone ask me the question about what if you did want to travel to Thailand more than twice as a tourist? Like, there are people who do that. And in that case, what you need to make sure you've got to do is you've got to go ahead and apply for a tourist visa, I would say. So if you apply for a tourist visa through your local Thai immigration, and you get a successful application, if you get granted that tourist visa, again, you're not going to be facing these problems, because the people who are facing these problems, or seem to be, are all people coming here without a visa, on visa exemption, which, once again, if you're just coming once a year, that's not a problem. But if you want to come multiple times per year, definitely have a look at the tourist visa options. There's quite a few. You've got the standard tourist visa, and then you do have the multi-entry visa. And someone asked me specifically, can you get the 6-month multi-entry tourist visa twice in the 1 year? Let's say you wanted to go early in the year and later in the year, rather than just in that 6-month block when you can have multiple entries. I can't find anywhere online that says you can't. So as long as you can prove that you are a tourist, and as long as you're not staying for really long, you're not like trying to live here. Because if you want to live here, there are other visa options as well that you can apply for. So I think it's more just them trying to push people into the correct or better visas that are more appropriate for what they're doing. But yeah, I couldn't see anything that said that you couldn't get a multi-entry 6-month tourist visa twice per year. That doesn't mean that you can. I just couldn't see anything anywhere that says that you can't. So that could also be a viable option, perhaps. That's most of what I wanted to talk about today. So we've got through the majority of it already. I'm like I said, I'm going to go to Laos soon. I've got a bit of a holiday planned to Laos, which is actually one of my favourite places to visit. I love it up in Laos, so I'll hopefully be able to talk more about that and share some videos once I've been up there. Recently, I just got back from New Year's Eve in Pai. I made a quick vlog of me in Pai on New Year's Eve. That was a lot of fun. And that one's up. Some of the other videos from that trip haven't been uploaded just yet, because I've still got some of the videos from Samui that I've not posted yet, so they'll be out in a month or so, although I did rush that video of New Year's Eve in Pai, because I thought I'd try and get that up around the New Year. I did want this to be a New Year's live, but I guess I left it a little bit too late. I've been feeling sick, and there has been a lot of influenza around in Thailand recently, so not sure if that was what was up with me. But in lighter news, how I like to end these videos is with a little bit of a story. Now, this one's a little bit strange, but it kind of went viral in Thailand. Hopefully it's nothing too serious, but this headline alone made me laugh. Police TikTok video sparks laughter as woman blames Colonel Sanders for her attack. So basically, a video on TikTok went viral, and it was a woman claiming to have been attacked by Colonel Sanders, the face of KFC. This is the video here. I'm not sure if we can get the sound, but yeah, it's a pretty interesting story. Now, I don't know what's happening here. I don't know if this is content. I don't know if she's like a content creator. I don't know if this is like a viral ad or something for like her TikTok account, or if any of the people are, but I think it was like a real statement she made in the police. Obviously that could also mean that she's someone who's kind of unwell, so I hope that that's not the case, because it's kind of bad if she's sort of like, you know, mentally unwell and has gone viral in the media. Hopefully she's got the help that she needs. But yeah, the only other alternatives, either a content creator, someone suffering with something mentally perhaps, or there really is a Colonel Sanders going around attacking people in Bangkok. So I'm not sure which is the worst outcome, but if he is, hopefully they bring him to justice pretty soon. Yeah. Anyway, guys, that is everything. So thanks for watching to anyone who did, and I'll see you all guys in the next one. Thanks, guys.